Hi folks, you're with Tassis today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the propaganda around climate change now with the run-up to and now with the climate change meetings in Glasgow. Every left-wing journal in the world and every left-wing news outlet is going into hyperdrive. So there's propaganda flying left, right, and centre, but just looking at one very prominent left-wing and mostly government-funded news station, then out of their 19 top stories, 11 of them are about climate change. So they're making no bones about it. This is the big story of the moment. But let's look at their prize offering here, which is an essay, I suppose, 1,100 words long, just shy of 1,100 words. So look at the structure. I'm looking at the structure of the piece. Now, if the science is hard-hitting and if it's factual and so on, you don't need to invent things. If the emergency is as big as they say, then you don't need to make things up. And this is the problem I have with this. There's so many made-up things, so many vague assertions. They're quoting so many hardline activists rather than independent researchers and independent scientists and so on. So, and they rely heavily in these pieces on assertion. Everybody knows that straight white males cause more damage to the environment than anyone else. And so laws should be made to control them, for example, those sorts of things. Well, hold on, how do you know that? Which straight white males, what laws should be made, and so on. But then they just make the assertion and off they go. So in this 1,100 word piece, there were 36 assertions made. None of which was challenged. Nothing was balanced. Nothing was so, well, on the other hand, this is what detractors say. Everything was just one way. That there is an emergency, everyone knows it. Anyone that says there isn't or questions it is a damn fascist Nazi, and we're just going full steam ahead on this without even checking any facts. So 36 assertions made. Now, if you look at the people that are quoted in the piece, and it takes only a moment to Google, they're all hardline activists. There's a heavy overrepresentation of lesbian activists in the group, and they're with these strange sounding organizations, the Committee for a Better World Climate, and I mean all sorts of ones that are funded by the likes of the George Soroses and very, very suspect funding. Now, I wouldn't mind if this article said, well, some people say that Billy Bob says this, but Billie Jean says that, and they had it a balanced thing, and there was the for and against arguments. Then I'd be okay with that. So if there was an assertion on one side, then it should be balanced with an assertion on the other side. If they quote activists, which they do, that's the only people they quote, that should be declared. Well-known lesbian climate activist Billie Jean says such and such, and who is funded by George Soros, also activist, or funded by an activist group. So if they explained all this, and had, again, countervailing points of view, then I'd be okay with that. And like anything, I'm open to being convinced if it is what they say. Now, on top of that, throughout this piece, there's moral lectures. Greta Thunberg said such and such, and the text and the prose around her statement is treated with a degree of almost reverence, I'd say. Now, what some teenage punk who's a puppet for climate change activists is going to be morally lecturing me, or anyone for that matter? I don't think so. Why should I listen to Greta or anyone else? Is she a scientist? Does she know something that I don't? Is her vast experience at living life? Does she a genius in some aspect of this? I mean, tell me why I should listen to her, other than that she's a possibly mentally retarded young girl. Other than that, what's she got going for her? So going through the article, it's just pure propaganda, wall to wall, just quoting assertions made by activists without challenging a single point of it. And even look at, when you look at the people that are claiming that rich people, rich Western people do this or that, and it's all white Western people are the evil folks. And they're even suggesting that by white people still emitting carbon, still making carbon emissions, that they're stealing economic development from the people at the bottom of the heap. Now they're saying that in this article, anyone that makes more than $100,000 a year, US dollars a year, is rich, and you're in the top 1% of world income earners. Now, they they don't balance this out with well, the cost of living, if you're in some dirt poor country, is very small. So $5,000 a year can get you a very good lifestyle in some of these places. That's not mentioned. So there's no context given. It's a pure propaganda. It's someone that's setting out to deceive and to play to the already well converted, and just to be justifying the activist stance. And then throughout the article, it's saying, and everyone should be an activist. The only way we can change things is everyone gets out on the street and becomes an activist, because the world's going to end tomorrow. We're at the tipping point. Now, I looked at that phrase, tipping point, since I've been looking at climate change activists. The tipping point on climate change has been around for at least 35 years. So this is a tipping point that never ends. But it's a beautiful line to say, that's it, Armageddon is nigh. You have to do something drastic and try and soften people up with all these fear stories, all this fear porn, so they'll accept any measures, no matter how brutal and drastic they may be. So that's it, pure propaganda, and making 36 assertions, unsupported, unsubstantiated, all one-way assertions made in an 1,100-word piece, for goodness sakes. So when you're reading these things, always look where the assertions. Always go for the assertion. How many assertions are being made? Because they'll do a set piece maneuver. The number of polar bears is decreasing, as proved by research from lesbian Billie Jean funded by George Soros. Now, they don't say the lesbian Billie Jean funded by George Soros, just say that they assert polar bears are in decline. Modelling shows that polar bears will be extinct within 100 years. Now, that's an assertion. There's no proof, no evidence for that, and they're talking about 100 years in the future, so, or 80 odd years in the future. So that's hardly a supportable claim. But that's not mentioned. The assertion is just made. Therefore, we all must do a great deal, and people must give up eating meat and driving cars. Wait. Let's come back to the assertion first. And they do these vague assertions delivered by activists, concocted by activists. Then they go straight to what has to happen. We've all got to give up cars, stop eating meat. So whenever you see that formula of assertion, drastic action put together like that, then you know you're dealing with propaganda, whether it be climate change or anything else. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.